By this time, you should know that the writing examination is definitely the hardest examination in the OET. So many people might be wondering if OET writing on computer might be easier compared to the paper delivered format of OET. Probably some are struggling with handwriting issues or with editing issues since it's harder to proofread your paper and edit your paper out using your paper and your pencil. And some others might find it very inconvenient to count the number of words on the paper that you have written, because in OET writing you should be writing right about 180 words to 200 words only. So if you're one of those people who are interested to find out whether this examination might have tangible benefits that will help you to achieve a higher score in the test and make everything more convenient for you, then please attend this class and maybe you'll learn a thing or two about the OET writing examination on computer and how it actually compares to the paper delivered format of OET. Once again, my name is Brian. I'm one of your lecturers here at 9.09er English. And if you haven't watched the previous videos for this series, we are discussing the differences and similarities between OET on paper and OET on computer. And we're trying to find out which one is the perfect exam edition for you to sit for your OET. Okay, so let's begin by talking about the differences between OET on paper and OET on computer. This is something that I have mentioned in other videos as well. When you're taking OET writing on computer, you will only have 1 minute to read through the instructions before the entire examination starts. After 1 minute of reading through the instructions, you will be provided 5 minutes reading time. And this is actually the time when you have to read the case notes that are provided for you. This is very similar when you're taking OET on paper, because you're still going to be given 5 minutes reading time in which you're just supposed to look at all of the case notes and just study the case notes for 5 minutes. You aren't supposed to write anything. You're not going to also have the opportunity to highlight anything during this part of the examination, because the primary purpose of the reading time is for you to understand or comprehend what the task is all about and what the case notes actually want to communicate to you. During the reading time, when you're taking the paper delivered format, you can't hold on to your pencils. You can't touch your pencils at all. You have to put your pencils down because you can't write on the case notes. In a similar fashion, you're going to not be able to use the highlight function tool for the OET writing examination during the reading time. So for 5 minutes, you're just supposed to scroll up and down and read the case notes that you have in front of you. After which, you will have some time to write your letter. And you will be allowed during this time to highlight the case notes. And that starts as soon as the 5 minutes reading time is over. So you can start highlighting important keywords or phrases in your case notes, and you can start composing your letter. On the left hand pane, you will see the case notes, and on the right hand pane, that's the space where you're going to be writing your letter. You can scroll up and down and use the hand icon or the hand tool once again to grab the entire screen and be able to more efficiently or more quickly gloss over the text upward or downward, just like in the reading examination or the listening examination on computer. So I think that's one of the advantages here. If you don't want to flip pages back and forth, you can just scroll up and down and you'll be able to see which case notes you're looking for. A lot of people are wondering if you can use Control F, which is actually the find tool, to locate information in your case notes. But unfortunately, this is not available when you're taking OET on a computer. What is available, however, is your zoom function tools. And basically, you can use the plus or minus symbols to increase the font size or decrease the font size, just in case you're more comfortable looking at something that's bigger or something that is smaller. You may end the reading time in your OET writing test earlier if you wish, and go and jump straight away into the writing phase. This is something that you cannot do when you're taking the paper delivered format of OET, because when you're taking OET on paper, you will all have to wait for 5 minutes and read the entire case notes. You cannot skip that portion because the proctor is going to give you 5 minutes reading time, and everyone needs to comply with that. When you're taking OET on computer, there's an option for you to skip the reading time just in case you're bored already and you want to get started right away. However, I don't really advise skipping the reading time because it's essential. It is actually a very important part of your examination for writing, because it really helps you to understand what the task is all about and be able to write a better letter in effect. It's also recommended that you keep both panels, the left hand pane and the right hand pane, open side by side, just like in the reading examination, as this is going to be a more convenient way of finding information that you want from the case notes. And it's not going to be very confusing. You don't really need to memorize or remember what you have read and move into your writing task or the pane where you're writing your letter. Um, and it's going to be much easier, definitely, if you have the reference right um, on the left hand pane, and it's easier for you to locate as well as specific information if you're just scrolling up and down the two windows. So keep them open. It's designed to be like that in your OET writing test. Now, I need to warn you, however, that there are certain edit function tools that are disabled when you're taking OET writing on computer. A lot of people are interested to find out if they can use the copy or paste functions, because these are very useful, definitely, when you're writing on a computer. But uh, unlike word processors, you don't really have the copy, the paste, or the cut options. They're disabled when you're taking OET on computer. Also, there's no spell checker. So definitely, if you're the kind of person who's very much reliant on spell checkers or grammar checkers, or you're careless as a typist, you make mistakes every once in a while, it is very important for you to edit ruthlessly in your examination to ensure that you have been able to correct all of the mistakes and you've been able to type everything correctly in your test. Proofreading is definitely very important when you're taking OET on computer, because you make more mistakes typing than when you're writing on paper. Now, one of the advantages, however, is that you have a word counter at the bottom of the screen. So this is actually very convenient because you will know whether you're writing too much already or you're writing too little. So you can add some more information if you're writing an under length letter, or you can possibly reduce the number of words that you have written if you're going a little overboard. The primary advantage of the test, or the computer delivered format of the test, is that it's easier to edit your letter. And that's very obvious. It's harder to erase when you're writing on a page, because you will have to use your eraser, or you will have to cross out words that you want to correct, or you might even resort to writing arrows or marks on your paper just to make everything clear. But on the computer, everything will be much easily edited, because you can just highlight the word, replace it with the correct one, and you can just use the backspace to correct certain words. So editing is definitely better. You can insert words in between sentences, and it's going to be absolutely neat. If you have problems with your handwriting, or you have problems organizing your thoughts, so you change your mind every once in a while or very often, this is actually a very advantageous examination for you to take. Now, once the 14-minute writing time is over, a pop-up window appears indicating that the test is already over and it's the end of your written components of the OET. You'll have to take your speaking examination during your scheduled time. So when it comes to the writing examination of OET, I'll need to be very honest with you. They're really very attractive benefits you're going to get if you take OET writing on computer rather than when you're taking OET writing on paper, because you can count the number of words more easily because of the word counter. If you have problems with your handwriting, that will be addressed because everything will be typed out and everything will be absolutely clear, uh, at least to your examiners. And it's much easier to edit your work on computers compared to when you're writing on a piece of paper. Plus, there's also the advantage of being able to change the font size just in case, or being able to scroll up and down, which is going to make it easier for you to locate information from your case notes rather than glossing over the page and using your pencil to do that. So definitely OET on computer has its benefits and has an edge over the paper delivered format. Nevertheless, you have to also take into consideration the other examinations, listening and reading, because they might not always be easier for the computer delivered format of the test. So do take into consideration the other two examinations, and not just the writing component. Not just because writing is easy, it's the or easier when taken on the computer, that you're going to choose OET on computer. You also have to factor in everything, including listening and reading, because at the end of the day, you're not only aiming to get a good score in the writing test, you're also going to have to get a good score for the other components of the test, including listening and reading. So there you go. That's the end of our discussion for OET writing on computer. I shall see you in the next video, in which we're going to talk about the speaking test of OET on computer. If there are any differences between the OET on paper examination, we're going to find that out after this lesson. So see you in the next one.